great. Amen. You tell the person sitting beside you, engage. God is doing something. The Spirit is moving. Hallelujah. God's goodness never changes. And His godness never changes. We will hear some stories of healings from 5 of our brothers and sisters. Are you ready? Really? You know what? This is like to ask you to open up your mind, open up your heart, open up your spirit, and see. That's why I asked you to say engage. Because as you hear these people, find something that you can relate. Because after this, after the word, God knows. No answer. Oh, yes. No answers. What God has in store for us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, worship team. Awesome. Motivators from the Spirit. I'm here humbly before you to share a story, and I'm hoping that you will have your mind open and your heart open, and you'll let Holy Spirit lead you. I am here today because of a health journey. A knock on my door that led me here, a sister that led me here, and a group that supported me to come here this evening. A few years back, I found a lump in my breast, and it was a knock on the door for me, spiritually. And please feel free to approach me after if you want to have more time with me to hear about my journey, because it was a very fleshly journey, but it was a huge move for me to be here this evening. I've been in touch with worship since, leading into leadership. It's helped me in my workspace. It's helped me with my children and my families and my relationship. And I walked a very fleshly journey for about a month. It was pretty hard when I found out a breast lump. God blessed my doctor, sent me from the regular system into a European system. It's diagnose, consult, diagnose, treatment, all within a month. So if you know anybody that's going through breast cancer, please feel free to contact me. You do have to go into it prior because it's not within the regular system that we've been socialized in. And God has kind of been removed from our system, and I'm asking you to open your heart and your mind to invite Him back into your system. Because He has moved me so amazingly, crazily, that I can't even, I have so many testimonies now because of this journey. So please feel free, if this gives you just one person in the audience a chance to talk to somebody wholeheartedly, which you're going to hear from the other testimonies, and that's the whole point of the testimonies. Do I want to stand up here and be a public speaker? No. Has it moved me to do that? Yes, it has. And we're going to invite other people up here that may have been hesitant at one point too, but I really am asking you to spiritually get in touch with God. What it did was it opened up a doorway of a conversation with me for a month-long journey. I went through the consultation, I went through the ultrasound, I went through the mammogram. I was led into a church, into a healing community. All 3 communities will welcome you. Regardless of what you're going through, there's somebody here that can touch your soul, can lead you to God, and it's the leading to God that's the important part here, is that I went from finding a lump to going to GraceVille, getting a healing, to going back to the doctor going, there's nothing there. So that's the reason. If there's anything that you guys want to talk to me about, please, I encourage that. Anybody from all three congregations are here to touch you with the Holy Spirit. I have many, many stories. Please come and speak to me personally. My fleshly journey, because it was fleshly, and it led to a whole crazy journey with God. And that's where I go all the time now. It settled my family, it settled my heart, it settled my friends. And it will help you deal with everything that's going on in your life. There's no area that God can't touch.
You want to invite Ivy here? Yeah.
Have a special guest
yeah.
here.
Yeah. Pull up a chair. Yeah. Ivy here has something to share as well.
So Ivy's here to share a testimony with you. I encouraged her to come up this evening. She did not want to come up this evening, but we've realized it's really important to step out of those comfort zones and to be here for each other and to glorify God and what He can do for you. So Ivy, why are you here this evening?
Brothers and sisters, I'm here to glorify God's name. And also to thank Him, for all the many blessings He has bestowed on my family and myself. Before I knew Jesus, I was brought up by a father who was a staunch Buddhist. So for many years, if any one of us step out of that belief, my father would sort of cut us off. Like my second brother became a Christian, he was told, like my father just ignored him. So he was all by himself. Well, I believe that with that fear, I was not open to accept Jesus into my life. But God has a plan for me. Yeah. Without our planning for it, a friend of my husband's friend offered him a job in Vancouver. And we came in, and because of God's plan, everything took place smoothly. We don't have to have a lot of money and all that, but our immigration papers were all done by the company. And I even got a job within a month when I landed. So right then, I didn't know that it was God's plan until now. So then I got a job and I worked for 1 year. One day I fell sick and I was bleeding from my nose. I was sent to a doctor for all the tests, whether it's my lungs or my heart, but the test proved negative. However, my doctor, I lost weight. Every time I lost weight, I was still coughing weight, and the blood came out from my nose. So much so I lost weight until I was bone and skin. So my doctor told me, do you believe in money or your life? So I have to, I sort of gave up my job. I have to give up for 6 months to recruit work. So during that time, while I was at home, I was still bleeding. Every morning I got up, I felt dizzy, and I also almost gave up my hope of going, like going on in life. So I surrendered everything. But God, because God is for me. One morning while I was sleeping, my room was very dark because it was winter. About 6 o'clock in the morning, I saw a man dressed up, and he's a Jew. I know how Jesus looked like now. I can tell everybody that this is Jesus. He was like maybe in his 40s or so, very tall, standing at the side of my room. And what made me since I'm not a Christian, I don't know anything about Jesus. But I woke up, I'm not sure whether I was dreaming or whether I was in a trance. So when I woke up, I saw him and I looked at him. I said, "It's Jesus," I said. Then he looked at me. When God talked to you, like we never talked about many words, just one or two words. He talked to me in a very firm voice and very firm voice, and he's not ordering me actually. He said, "Go to church." So when I opened my eyes, I saw my whole bedroom. It was dark because it was winter. That morning, my whole bedroom was covered with mellow golden light. Yeah, and I looked, all around my bed, but there wasn't any light on, and the room was really very dark at 6 o'clock in the morning. After that, I felt the peace that I never had. Because before that, when I got up, I went to the bathroom, I was always busy. But when I got up and I felt that peace that all of my life I never had. So after that, in obedience, right, I went without giving a second thought. I got up, I went to looking for church. But what I don't understand, even now myself, right, I have 4 churches around my house walking distance. So I went and I wasn't comfortable. I know the Bible before I baptized myself. I don't know why. So I searched for every church and I rang up. I want to learn Bible study. All the churches said they don't give Bible study. If I want, I have to go to downtown. But being a new immigrant, I don't know my way around downtown. So I almost gave up. But because of God calling you, right, and you walk in obedience with God, God made the way for you. My sister-in-law, who became a Christian in Singapore, came to my place for a holiday and stayed with me. But she knows a pastor at, I think, Coquitlam, and she was going to attend the cell group. She and her daughter, I think husband and wife and her daughter, got a leave from a friend. Last minute, your friend told her that I can only accept 3, not 4, but 3. So the daughter stepped up and asked me to do. I attended, and it was a charismatic church. So when I attended the Bible study and all that, within I think 2 or 3 months, right, I attended the church, and it was a new church. I was ready to baptize without giving any second thought. Like there was a strong obedience within me that I have to be baptized because of this calling. So before that, like how I was short, I was healed by my nose. Because I was healed by my nose. After that dream, after I dreamed that one, and within 1 week, a relative rang me up and asked me, "How are you?" I said, "I'm not well." So he said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I have my nose keep on bleeding." So she says, "My mother was a specialist for nose, ears, and throat." I'll give you the number later. So I contacted the doctor. Surprisingly, right, because I couldn't get treatment from the hospital because they don't know what the cause of my sickness. So I was left on my own. But surprisingly, when I went, this doctor told me, you know, you don't have any serious sickness. He said, why are you losing your work? I said, I don't know. I said, I keep on bleeding from my nose. So he said, it's just a minor capillaries that burst. He said, I won't do anything for you. I begged him. I said, doctor, I said, if you don't treat me, I said, I've been bleeding, and I said, I can't afford to lose my weight. You know. So he said, okay, because he has to apply morphine and all that. Right? So he did. When I went back, immediately I was healed, and I started putting on weight and all that. But, you know, because I lost my job, God has a purpose for me. Because He wants me to, like, go further in my career. I was, like, the government, I applied for, I was on EI, right, because when I went to the job. So, computer wasn't very common at that time. So, my boss, in fact, asked me whether I want to take up computer. I said, sure. I said, so what, after that, a friend in the company told me, he said, I think you can apply for EI to sponsor you for further study. So I did for my career development. So when I attended, it was a full year for career development. And I got through my computer course. God has better plan for me. When I was working in my own job, like my salary wasn't very attractive. I got into a government job and for the agency, and I was the only Chinese among all the applications. And it was not an easy. Many people told me it wasn't an easy thing to get a job into a government, especially I knew but I did. And the boss was a British guy who wasn't very easy to please. But somehow, because God was in me, I was in God's hand, right? He took to me and he sort of likes me a lot. You know, like he bought a lottery and he gave me one ticket and all that. Yeah. And
So God is good.
Yeah,
God is always good.
So well, you know. So that the reason why I didn't want to come up and give testimony because the love of God touched me so deeply that I always get emotional.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hallelujah. Amen. Is Rubinson here? Hey, Rubinson. This lad is from Kenya. That's a wonderful story to tell you.
Amen. My story, it's a long story, but I just try my best to cut it short. Amen. When I was 13, back in my home country, Kenya, in a private boarding school meaning I sleep, I study, I eat at the same school for like 4 months, then I go home for a 2-week break, then go back to school again. So, but for my case, when I was in the boarding school, I didn't really study for 4 months. I studied there for 1 month, I stayed home for 3 months, you know. So, those 3 months, I'm not staying at home, just eating and playing around. No, I was really suffering, you know. My mom, happy for me, paying my school fees, very expensive, by the way, because you have to pay for accommodation, you have to pay for education as well. It was very expensive. He's so excited because I'm going to a boarding school and I'm going to school to study. But when she takes me to school, I come after 2 or 3 days, they get a call from school. Hey, we have your son here, but our nurses can't do anything. He's really, really bad. He needs to come home by now. So my mom comes to school and she's also surprised too because I was just home 2 days. And after 2 days of school, I'm sick. I go home for like a month. Sick, this is how serious it was. I went to the doctors, all the doctors in Kenya. Like in one day, they could take up to 14 injections and a lot of blood just to go for testing and to come back and tell me there's no any disease. That's how serious it was. So my mom was so stranded because she's paying school fees for sure. I have to go to school and study, but I'm at home feeling sick and the doctors are saying there's no any disease. I'm a normal human being. But physically, I'm really suffering. So my mom, she's a prayer warrior. I love my mom. She's really helpful in prayer. So she prays and she says, son, have faith, go back to school. She prays for me, I go to school 2 or 3 days. Again, I go back, she gets a call, she has to come pick me up again, very sick. I'm suffering, I can't focus in class, I can't do anything because of that. Almost a year. And my mom was almost giving up because she's paying for school fees and I'm not studying. She's paying for everything and she's also wasting her transportation to come pick me up and wasting her money for my medication, but there's no any sickness. So when she got the call at the age of, because that was 13, so at the age of 14, 1 year later, she got the same call as usual. I have to go home because I'm sick. So this time when she was coming with one agenda, to take my luggage, take everything, transfer me from that school and take me to somewhere else. Because she thought the school was a problem, you know. So when she came, she was all frustrated, she was all mad. She's also a believer, but at that point, she was also giving up. And then that's when I thank God for my Christian education teacher. He teaches CRE, it's called Christian Religious Education. So when my mom was facing the situation, it's been going on for a year. Every time I go home, my body, if you guys can come closer to me, you can see all the injections. They was used to inject me. A lot of injections and a lot of blood taken from my body, but there's no any sickness. So my mom explained to this teacher, this is my son, he's been going through this and this and this, and I'm tired of this school, I'm tired of this place, I'm transferring my son. So the teacher, thank God he's a believer, he's also a pastor. And you know what he told my mom? He's like, Mom, I understand what your son is going through. I've seen these things before, they do happen. But all I'm asking from you is that just give me your son for 2 days. Because remember, my mom has to take me home for medication because I can't stay there because I'm suffering. But he told my mom, give me your son for 2 days to stay in school. And if nothing happens, all I'm asking is, if I convert Kenyan shillings to Canadian dollars, $5. All I'm asking is $5 only for transportation to take him somewhere for a man of God. So my mom, because she's a believer, she is, you know, that giving up voice. Fine, you can have my son. So for 2 days, that teacher stayed with me in school, in my dormitory. And for 2 days, the first day, he came to my bed. I was sleeping because I couldn't go to class. I couldn't focus and concentrate. I was sleeping on my bed. So he prayed for me. He brought other students. They all prayed for me. And it was just a regular sickness night. And then the second day when he came, this time was different. So he came, and that evening when they prayed, they sang a hymn for me with other students. And they prayed together with me. And that night, I was suffering that evening. When I woke up in the morning, I'm 100% fully, completely healed, you know. And I just thank God for that because of that faith that my mom had, and because of the faith the teacher had, through them, you know, my mom was going far away to look for my healing, without knowing that my healing was just next to me, you know. So I thank God for that healing, and from there onwards, I never got that kind of sickness again. Although I get flu here and there, but that's normal. But that sickness I never get again after today, and I thank God for that, and I'm really grateful, and I know 100% sure I'm healed to heal.
Hello, come up.
Hello everyone, my name is Malu and I'm from Lighthouse. So, a few years ago, you will never see me like this. Every time I'm so lonely, I want to be alone, just stay home, and I have that sickness called depression. At that time, it's on and off. I wouldn't have any energy of doing anything. Even small things, just like the laundry or stuff like that, I can't. I just stay on my bed, sleep there all day. And in 2015, my mom passed away. Few months after my mom passed away, I was let go in my company that I was working with. And that makes me more lonely and more depressed. Every day it's like dragging me to go out of my bed, home and work. It even comes into my mind like, what's the point of this life? If everything for me is so hard to do, I cannot do anything. Even talk to anyone is too hard for me. I don't have that energy to do all those things. Even eating food, I lost my appetite because nothing would really come out. I just want to lay down on my bed and sleep. And that even come to a point in my mind that I thought, what's the point of living? It's so hard, it's unbearable. It's so hard for me. But come 2018, early 2018, I had a dream. And in that dream, it's showing me that I was in a dark place. I was on my bed lying down, and somebody came from the dark, as if he wants to pull me out of my bed and take my life away. And it happened twice, 2 consecutive nights. I have having a nightmare, and my husband had to wake me up. Little did I know that that was God's warning in my life. If you keep staying in the dark, why not get your life? And it made me realize that God loves me. God loves me to have a life that is joyful, that is enjoying what He has given us. And slowly, the process of healing comes out. It did not come instantly, it was a process. God taught me and made me realize that I am so loved by God. My relationship with my family, especially my husband, improved from that time. And it's continually doing the improvement thing. And I know God is continually healing me up to this time. I become so active with my church activities here, my church. I have gained more friends. And God, I know He's there. He's there guiding me. And I remember the promise of the Lord in Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. That's why I have grace to this point. So you have something like I had experienced. Do not lose your trust to Him. Be patient. His ways are not our ways. We can go to doctors, medical, seek help, do counseling, or just miraculously be healed by God, but His ways are not His ways. So I just want to say to you, be patient, wait patiently for our Lord, for He is there to heal us.
Thank you, Marie. Next, I'd like to call Doreen. She's a Fijian, and she has also a wonderful story to tell us.
Praise the Lord. It's good to be here. I'll go straight to my story. When I was about 15 years old, a teenager, I became sick. I was losing a lot of blood. I was losing a lot of weight. I had become very weak. I would go to school, and because I think I was so weak, I'd fall asleep and I wasn't paying much attention. And that really scared me because the the grade I was in, I had to pass that grade to move on to the next grade. If I fail, your education is completed there, which is not much. So I was very scared, and then at the same time, I have 3 brothers, 2 older than me, 1 younger. My oldest brother and my youngest brother, they were sick as well. They were demon possessed, and so my parents were running around doing everything they could. And in Fiji, it's very common when you're sick or something's going wrong, you go see a witch doctor. It's real, and it happens there a lot. So that's what my mom would do. My mom and dad would take my brothers everywhere they could. They spent a lot of money. I never personally went, but my mother would go on my behalf, and everybody would tell her to folks, or they say, oh, your neighbor did this to you, or this person did this to you. They'll blame other people. So, it's causing all sorts of problems, and there was chaos going on in my family, so we didn't know what to do. We were spending money on things that wasn't working. I personally come from a Hindu and a Muslim background. My mom's a Muslim, my dad's a Hindu. So when I was younger, I was going to the mosque a lot with my grandparents because I grew up with them. And then when I moved to the city, so when I got sick, I was actually a very devoted Hindu. I'd not eat meat for certain days, I'd do a lot of puja. So, and I would do that to get better, for the Hindu God to heal me. And nothing seemed to be working. Yes, I've seen a doctor, and my parents have taken my brothers to the doctor. Nothing seemed to be working, and we were all so scared. And I was scared because I was not going to complete my education and all that. So my second brother, who was the only one who wasn't sick, he was going to church. Like someone has testified to him, and he was going to church on Sundays, but he didn't tell us. He wasn't very. He didn't tell us about Christ a lot at that point because probably we were so much into seeing all these other witch doctors and stuff. And then when nothing was working, and I was very upset, he said one day, "Why don't you try going to church? Why don't you try Jesus?" So for a person who's basically tried everything, who's tried the Muslim, the Hindu, and going to the doctor, and nothing was working, so I was like, why not? And for me, going to church was for the only purpose of getting healed. I didn't want to accept Jesus. I didn't know about Jesus. I didn't want to be a committed Christian. I just wanted to be healed. So I thought, I'll go to church, just so I can get healed, and then I can get back to my Hindu life and whatever I was doing. And little did I know, that wasn't what God planned. So when I went to church the first Sunday, I met all these people. They all came. I went with an aunt who was a neighbor. She took me with her, and I felt very accepted. I can never forget the feeling I got when the first Sunday I went to church. Everybody came, said hi, they came, hugged me. The pastor called me to the front. People came, shook my hand. The ladies hugged me, and I instantly felt accepted. I felt loved. I felt like people cared about me. When you're sick and all this chaos going in your home, that means a lot, and it meant a lot to me. And from that Sunday onwards, I never stopped going to church. Yes, I got healed. Before I know it, I didn't even realize that God was healing me. I wasn't the same person anymore. I was feeling better. I was healed, and my brothers, they eventually started coming to church. But my mom, who's a Muslim, she said, "Yeah, you guys can go to church because we were all sick and stuff." So she wasn't going to stop us. But she said, "I'm never going to come to church. No personal feelings, no personal reasons. I'm just not going to come to church." And a few months later, she got baptized. Wow. And she's actually the strongest in our family right now. So I have to celebrate on her behalf. And I want to thank God for healing me, for giving me a family, and for being with me all throughout these years. Amen?
Thank you very much. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen. Amen. Last but not the least, Dr. Paul Pastor Don, Senior Pastor of Lighthouse. Also has a story to tell. He already told it to me. He already tell it to you, but I just want him to tell you that. Amen.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone for coming, and in behalf of all the pastors involved in this Sozo night. This is the second time that we're doing this, and the third one will happen in the Philippines in July. We're so privileged to host the second Sozo event, And I just give the glory to God. Even while we were worshiping, the presence of God is just evident amongst us. It's so good when brothers and sisters gather together for worship. Now, one of the stories that I need to tell is, I'm a pastor. 5 minutes lang, okay? I won't sing, okay?
Yes.
But, 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. And that was advanced, aggressive cancer. And I was saying, I did not question God, but it can happen to a pastor too. But what I pray to the Lord is, Lord, just don't make me fear and don't make me sad. Because your name is at stake. I told him, it's not good for a pastor to be sad. I'm supposed to be encouraging people. And so this is where I am. Even until now, as I go to the doctors, they would say, you're going to die, you're going to die. It's 2 years now. I'm still here. And, I'm not a super human. Humanly speaking, it's so scary. It's like a terminal disease that has come to you. But come to think of it, people, all of us are terminal. Isn't it? And I count myself really so privileged, and I would say so lucky. Because God, in His divine power, told me, allow the doctors to tell I'm dying. And so that made me somehow realize, if I'm dying, is what I'm doing now important? If the doctors tell you you have 3 months to live, 6 months to live, the question really is, I'm preaching, okay? Is what you're doing now as important as it should be compared to eternity? All of us should be preparing for dying, because all of us will have to die one day, right? And even if the doctors tell me, you're dying, at the back of my mind I was saying, you're going to die too, anyways. I'm not saying that, but I was thinking, you're going to die too. So I'm so blessed because nothing has changed, but I saw the love of people, the prayers of everyone, the support of the church, and that I count myself really blessed. And from my heart, I would say, God, okay, this is an extended life to me. You know my heart. I would still serve you. With all humility, I say that. You know my heart. I would still love and serve you. And if this would bring glory to your name, telling people, cancer is nothing to a child of God. Because we are in the hands of the Father. To God be the glory. Thank you, Pastor.